Sorry, we were enjoying the kettle drums way too much.
You and who's your long-haired friend there?
Oh, Double T, back from New York, also separate from us somehow. He got a blowout. he has some bags full of things. Just like a New Yorker carrying all his bags around.
Double T is looking awfully stylish.
All right, Double T, you gotta go. Oh my goodness. Yes, the steel drums. I was worried that a commercial was gonna come up, but
Oh, I was wondering. I'm like, I see your mic was off, and you're still just like, I wanted to be like, Stephanie, turn on your mouth. Like,
so we were a second late popping up, even though I turned everything on time. And you know why? For some reason, this was set to private. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, you're the only one touching it.
I know, but for some reason, I don't know.
It was Double T.
Obviously.
Yeah, it was Double T.
Well, hello.
Hi. Are you cold? It's cold today.
It's a little chilly today. I'm just about the right temperature sitting here in my corner, but yeah, I was on the couch today with the electric blanket.
I was in a nice toasty room all day reading, and as you can see, I'm wearing a fleece. I did not turn a heater on in this room. So here's hoping I don't freeze to death, because I just didn't have time to get my ducks in a row, and at this point I just can't be bothered. So if you see me looking, like
your lips start turning blue.
Yeah, and I'm a little extra chilly.
Your hand freezes off and you have to replace it with a scissor hand.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like, bend. That's, I mean, at the moment I'm not too bad, because I was wolfing down dinner before I came up here, and I planned for the cold weather, and I made beef stew. And it cooked. I started it last night in the crock pot, and it cooked all day. And it was one of those ones where it's so good, but it's so hot that you can't eat it because it's too hot. And yeah. Anywho, I am very excited.
I am too. Hey, Robin. Hey, Marianne.
I feel like it has been a hot minute since we have started a book.
I know. I was rushing to finish up my reading today because I intended to finish the reading this weekend. And I didn't. And so I was rushing to finish the reading today. My husband's like, reading? I was like, yeah, it's been a minute. He didn't remember that we read books on this stream. Like, yeah, this used to be a book club, like every episode, and now we intermingle. So
yeah, I think the last time we started a book was the beginning of July, right? Yeah, when we started Lori Labar's book.
Yeah,
that was last time. So I so far am enjoying getting back into the swing of things. But before we get too knee deep into that, we always have to pull up a calendar. Are we seeing this?
This is 90% of the reason that I know where I'm supposed to be at any given time.
Oh, you're welcome. This is 90% of the reason that I know where you're supposed to be at any given time. So yeah, I mean, can you believe we're already here at the 11th?
Oh my goodness. And the 11th hour of the year. I mean, really. This year has just sped by.
That's true, and it's certainly not going to start going any slower now, except if it starts to do a lot of. We had snow today for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't see Druid here tonight, but she mentioned snow yesterday, and she's in Tennessee. So, ugh.
I know Chicago and Minnesota had snow, and I knew we were going to get an Arctic blast, and that's what this cold is, but like, I haven't seen snow this early in the season in like a decade.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to be back up in the 60s like tomorrow. So
we're not really supposed to recover from this. We were in the 50s, high 50s. Now for the next week, it's showing us in the 40s, and like next Monday or something, there looks like there's another chance of snow. I had texted Sunday today and was like, it's snowing. And he was like, well, how bad is it snowing? I'm like, it's not bad. It was just flurries, but it's enough to upset me.
Yeah, like 5 minutes ago we were talking about how hot we are, how hot we were, and how miserable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
inches of lake effect and it's all melted.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get warm again, but
Marianne, are
anywho.
you in Illinois? Is that when you say lake effect, is that what you mean? Or I guess you could be anywhere kind of around what, New York, Michigan, like all of those states that surround the Great Lakes get the lake effect. And we get the lake effect too, secondhand. Gah! Anyway.
Well, we have 2 weeks of our book discussion, and sadly we will have to take a break because Stephanie
Thanksgiving
has to travel.
Sorry, my family is out of town.
Oh yeah,
Northern Michigan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin, mountain snow, valley rains. Oh goodness. You've got it all there in Reno.
I'm just hoping it's really windy. Are you guys windy right now?
I think maybe it was kind of windy like last night. We had some rain over the weekend. That was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, we did too. We're really windy right now. So I'm at least hoping that dies down tomorrow when I have to go to the library, because I have to walk. I really should take a video one morning of what my walk to the library is, because I have to walk through one of the old mill complexes. And when you walk through those like tunnels and buildings, it's like a cyclone when it's windy out.
Yeah. It's kind of like when we were in New
and
York. The wind kind of gets trapped and just swirls around. And
yeah, it just becomes like this like Arctic blast of just woo. Anywho.
We should do a compilation video tracking all of our complaints about the weather the entire year. Oh my gosh, it's too cold. Oh my gosh, it's too hot. Oh my gosh, it's too rainy.
Yes, you should do that. I also just wanted to take a moment to mention to people that, you know, getting now December time is the time we really kind of start percolating books and events and things that we might want to be looking at in the next year. So if you, LJ, I know you had recommended a couple of books back. I just don't know where I put the note for it. So if you want to tell us again, you can email us at quiltnerding@gmail.com. And you know, or get us on our socials, and let us know if you have.
I remember her mentioning that too, and I think I wrote it down, but
when I cleaned my desk when we were having company, I was actively looking for it, and I don't know where it ended up. So
yeah,
I certainly didn't forget that there was one.
I'm glad you did remember that, but yeah. So
it's probably a bookmark in another book, to be honest with you.
This is true. This is true.
So yeah, or if you guys know of exhibits that are happening or other really cool things that maybe we might be able to get to, or you know, let us know. Give us a shout.
Yeah.
And we like to try to go. We're actually going to something really cool next year in August. Beginning of August in Ohio. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. So anywho,
I almost forgot about that. We haven't been able to register for it yet, but we have a placeholder because we're on a guest list.
Yeah, so with that, I mean, let's talk about this. If you don't have a copy yet, there is a link in the description of the video. Yes, we do get a few cents if you order from the link. Yes, it's Amazon. I understand if you don't like them, but it's what we have. And you can join us at any time reading this. It's not if you missed the first episode, you can't do anything. Our friend Alicia can't be with us tonight, but she informed me today that she has the book and she will be reading it.
Yay! Yeah, and I think Marianne, I think you said you had it. You got it recently. Yeah. So, and Robin, I can't remember if you said you were going to read along, but even if you're not reading along, we get some intel out of us here. Before we get started, may I mention that Aimee Newell is quite prolific in the endnotes. So if you,
Yeah, there are a lot of endnotes.
yeah, like me, if you often kind of just gloss over the the reference notes.
I looked at them a couple of times today.
Yeah, I often do, because I'm like, oh, it's just, and, I'll flip back to see, like, oh, what book is she talking about? And then I realized, oh, I mean, this is just the first page of the notes. And I mean, you can see sometimes she just is mentioning, a little sentence from the book, a particular book, but sometimes it's a lot of information. So be sure to check out those notes.
And I love her for that. I love a beefy endnotes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of the best info is in those notes.
Right. And oftentimes the reason that you have to do that is because if it becomes a thing where you keep getting all these little tidbits, but they don't technically fit the context of your paper, that's where you put them. And also, I have to say, some of the references that she's using, I'm like, oh, this goes on my list, and this needs to go on my list.
Yep,
and,
I added 2 today. Just looking, I was like, dang it, Aimee Newell, why are you giving me more books to read?
Yeah, she has a really hefty bibliography. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny is sometimes the bibliography is not even complete when you publish. Sometimes it's just selections. Oh. So I'm just kind of like, I'm not entirely sure if this is totally complete or not for her, but it is. And she even like sections it out to like primary and secondary sources.
I know. I don't
publish primary sources.
I don't know that I've ever seen that. And BB, I just, like, I feel like I try to look at, bibliographies and endnotes pretty consistently. And so maybe it's just been a long time since I've had a book that does that, and I didn't notice it. But yeah, when I was flipping through, I looked for one and I was like, where is it? Where is this? And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's probably in the secondaries.
This is a edited version of her dissertation. So okay. I'm gonna guess it could potentially have a lot to do with whoever her professor was on her
Gotcha. Okay. And is that, and not being an academic person, I mean, is that standard, or is that like a preference
for what?
For dissertations on topics like this, where you have primary and secondary? Do you typically separate it, or is that just like a...
Well, I know that in my area, which, I mean, this is a lot of... It's not that far removed, right? We're dealing with material culture and things like that. But for me, in my stuff, we would be dealing with resources that were in primary and secondary languages. So you would be separating those out that way. So people knew if they were looking for where you found this thing, it's all in Latin.
Right. Yeah.
Or a primary research language would be like French and German and things like that. So that was normal for me. I have never seen it like really so much in these kinds of books per se. So that's what I'm saying. Like, but she went to UMass Amherst, and we share a lot of professors between her undergrad and mine. Okay. So I'm just like, I knew a couple of professors that could get into that. But you know something? I hope it is a trend that continues.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool, like, because sometimes I think that, I mean, you sometimes have to give a little less, not credence, because I mean, I think that her secondary resources are very good, but sometimes you have, because a primary resource is obviously like from the horse's mouth, whereas a secondary resource is having researched and quoted that. Sometimes you have to give more credence to the primary sources, really, and you rely on the secondary sources when you can't get your hands on the primary sources, or they don't exist. So,
or it helps you create a more like well-rounded picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I just bleep, or did you just bleep?
I don't know.
The screen just bleeped, and I'm just like, oh god, it's windy. I'm scared. Okay.
Well, I have a good connection, so I'm knocking on wood.
Well, there was a bleep on my end, but I'm not sure where it came from. So y'all, if things just disappear or any,
we'll be back. We'll be back.
The other thing I noticed, and this book was published in 2014, 15, so it's like 10 years ago.
Oh, is it that old? I didn't realize that.
Yes, that'll. On the back here, we've got Aimee Newell is director of collections at the Scottish Rite Masonic Museum and Library in Lexington, Massachusetts. Whoever knew that was a thing?
The Scottish
Yeah.
Rite Masonic Museum.
Yeah. She holds a doctorate in history from UMass Amherst, and previously worked as a curator at the Nantucket Historical Association, where I was just at, and Old Sturbridge Village, which I didn't know that. Now, I did look her up. She is no longer the collection director of collections. After that, she became like the director of collections and programming or something at American Revolution Museum or some jazz. And upon further research has even like stopped working there too, and I couldn't find out where she is now. It looks like now she's in Philadelphia from the best I could.
And you know what? Somebody at seminar told me that they knew Aimee Newell's mother, and now I completely forgot who told me that.
Yes, I remember who that is.
Okay. Then
yes,
you can tell me later, because I'm like, oh gosh, it was somebody that I talked to often. I was having dinner with them and they mentioned it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then right out of my head. So.
Well, and on top of that, I am really enjoying Aimee's writing.
Yeah, is very, very approachable. You know, I always worry that, in you mentioning that this was a version of her dissertation, often those kinds of things, when somebody takes their PhD research and turns it into a book, it's like, but I think this is really approachable. So yeah. So do you want to just get started?
And I don't know if I had glanced quickly through the acknowledgments because I was very curious once I saw how tied she was to Massachusetts. And I don't know if you noticed, but she did this work with help from a Lucy Hilty research grant from the American Quilt Study Group.
Did she?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I did not read this at the beginning.
I normally do not read the acknowledgments, although, of course, our friend Mary Kay Walvogel is in here because, of course,
Mary Kay's name is in every modern book about needlework.
Well, and if you notice, one of the photos in the I think it's the first chapter is
from her,
Mary Kay's book.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's like, would we be reading anything if it wasn't for our BFF, Mary Kay?
Mary Kay, if you're listening, we love you. We get excited when we see your name because we're like, I know her. She's my friend.
Well, so if you have anything to kick off with, let me pull up my notes here.
What I would kick off with is to say, I don't know if it gives me a sense of comfort or just laughter that so much of what she talked about, especially in the first chapter, but there's lots on the introduction, but especially in the first chapter, the failing eyesight, the arthritis in one's hands. I was like, you're just taking
Menopause.
a chapter out of every day of my life, Aimee. Thanks.
Well, it's funny. So when you and I were like originally talking about doing this book, you were really feeling some type of way about the title.
I was just being silly, but I was just like, this does feel like a treatise about my life.
So needless to say, you are no longer feeling some type of way about the title.
Well, I mean, I am, but I'm just like, I fit in with these women. I have a child that, although he still lives at home, for all intents and purposes, I'm an empty nester. He relies on me for nothing other than the occasional dinner, and use of my electricity.
True. I am lucky to be able to call Steph and be like, hey, we're going to New York this weekend. I don't care about your family. Bye.
Yeah, I don't have any little ones. I had no intention of having more of them. But I mean, really, it's a done deal now. No more children. I am essentially an empty nester. But I feel like it's interesting though, being a modern person versus these women's lives. I mean, I had a career. I mean, I still have a career. I'm not currently working in it, but I still have a career. These were women that were working, running their households and having children, because you have to have a lot of children back in these days when the average age, like if 50 is elderly, And I think she uses the term old. She doesn't actually ever, I think, go to elderly. It's old. I'm old. Anything over 40 is old. Girl, you are on the precipice of old. Any minute now. You're in the 11th hour and 59th minute of nearly being old. So, yeah, I mean, in some ways I definitely, and I mean, all jokes aside, I feel the eyesight issues, and I feel the, you know, the arthritic hands in my sewing. But my sewing is not necessary. I mean, 50% of my sewing is for pleasure. 50% of my sewing I consider to be my work, you know, because I'm a working artist. So, yeah, I feel like my opinions about my work are maybe different, but then again, maybe not. You know, I make work because I make artwork because I have something to say, and that's kind of what her premise is here. These women aren't making, you know, clothing for the family. They're not making, you know, the sheets and the, you know, all the things that one needs to run a household. They get to decide what they're doing. So yeah, but I've kind of had that privilege all my life with my sewing. I've never had to sew because I had to, you know. So I guess that's kind of like my overarching view thus far. You know, in that I really, really connect with these women in a lot of ways. Yeah. So I mean, can we start with Aimee Fiske and?
Well, before we do, I feel for people that maybe aren't reading with us, or maybe this is their first dive into anything like this, I do feel it's important that we define the term antebellum,
Okay.
Which means before the war in Latin. And in this kind of broad context here, we're dealing with before the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865. I remembered. And
thank you, because I never do.
yeah, well, and the more we talk about it, the more I remember. And she is specifically talking about the years of 1820 to 1860, respectively.
And as a note, there's a lot that's happening in that period,
oh my God,
societally as well as with textiles. I mean, that's the period that Baltimore album quilts are, you know, that right smack dab in the middle there is Baltimore album quilts and all that happening, things that we really like to look at today. Early Industrial Revolution, it is quite a heady time to be alive, you know, pre-war.
Yeah, there's and I wonder if it will be considered one of the periods in time where you know, we have, because I know people talk about like the 90s, early 2000s, even 80s as these nuggets of time where we seem to shoot forward like light years in all kinds of you know, industrial and technology and culturally, and you know, like all kinds of things. Now I know there's also arguments where we have these periods of times where we go backwards, but you know what I mean, like I feel like this is one of those good chunks where just so much happened in 40 years is not a long time. Correct. In the grand scheme of things here. It is in a lifetime, but it's not in our time of humans on Earth.
And we would refer to this, she's calling it the Antebellum era. I do think she kind of mentioned Federalist, you know, and I say Federalist is kind of more political, but I've always heard this, you know, referenced as the Federal period. So it's this Antebellum Federal period. When I bought my house was built in the Federal period. And things just look a little bit different than they do once you cross the boundary of the Civil War and get into Reconstruction. So,
so go ahead and dive in to Aimee Fiske. So I know you're dying.
First of all, Aimee Fiske, her genealogy, which is a couple of pages in, I was like, I cannot keep track of the fact that she's like a quadruple Fiske. Because her mother was a Fiske who married her father, who was her cousin, and then she married her own cousin as well, who was also a Fiske. Like, oh my God. I mean, genetically, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but you think, how did the Fiske children not have 3 eyes and 4 arms? But It's just genealogically, it's very confusing, and I thoroughly appreciate if Aimee Newell had to figure out any of that out, like if that genealogy had not been done, which I suspect it may have. Whoever figured that genealogy out, I bow down to them, because whew. But yeah, I was really like, I did like a tiny bit of pre-reading here when I first got the book. I just started flipping through it and kind of just reading this introduction part. And I was like, this is so interesting that, this premise of so many writers basically saying, oh geez, we're buffering. I just realized. Okay. Sorry guys.
Things are looking okay.
Okay.
Things are okay.
Yeah, I'm just getting, no. I'm getting an error.
Yeah, there were a couple of bleeps.
Yeah, Marianne's getting some stuttering. It is no doubt. I'm quite certain it is. Yeah, Robin and Marianne are both saying we buffered. It is. I have an error message, so it is quite possibly also me on this end. So I don't want to switch. Let's see. Let me see which. If I'm on 5G. I'm afraid to switch over to my different. Okay. All right. They're saying it was very brief, so I'm gonna go ahead and say, like,
is things looking better on your side?
Maybe. Okay.
Okay.
So where was I? This idea that so many writers had said, samplers are for schoolgirls. And I mean, that's historically what we hear. This is how girls learned. They started learning these household skills when they were very small, by learning needlework. They were learning their alphabet and their numbers, these basic things. And, girls as little as 3, 4, and 5 were starting to do these things. And this is what we always hear about samplers. And I'm not deeply in love with samplers. So I haven't read as much about samplers as, say, you have, because I know that you and some of your clients collect them. So, but it was just interesting to me, this idea that Aimee Fiske's sampler is an example of kind of blowing that out of the water. Women could choose to do what they wanted. And they didn't necessarily have to be pigeonholed into, if an older woman created a sampler, she must have been a teacher. Although, talking out of both sides of her mouth, as it turned out, Aimee Fiske's sampler may have been a teaching aid. But it was not a formal teaching aid. It may have been there just stitching to inspire her great niece. It may have been an example for her great niece, or maybe, who knows? It could have come out of a conversation with her great niece about, oh, you're not learning to do this in school? Well, I did that in school. Maybe I'll stitch another. And, who knows how it came about, but that she just decided to do this. And I think it's charming, actually. She just had this sense of nostalgia for her, her needlework as a child, and said, I'm going to do this again.
Well, also the fact too that, the discussion here that when she first did her sampler at 9 and it was tattered to pieces,
that was really kind of interesting to me.
Well, it also makes me consider the fact that, given how old a lot of samplers are, I'm sure there's people that would say, like, oh, there's lots of samplers out there, but I still kind of have this feeling of, like, there's obviously not near as many as were actually created.
Yeah, I'm curious to know why. Within 50 years.
People after you have to care.
Yeah, within 50 years, why was your sampler so tattered? What were you using it for?
Well, what's funny is it brings to memory for me, and I don't know if you remember this happening, but you did see the end result. I was at an estate sale, I don't know, 2 years ago or something, where I left with a sampler in pretty bad shape because a friend of mine wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And um I didn't act as a dealer for them. I just was like, this is what they're asking. Like, here you go. So it was in really rough shape. I would have passed on it. I don't know that I called it, but they were like, I want to repair it. And we saw it repaired, if
Yes.
you remember,
Mm-hmm.
when we were on a trip.
Yep.
And it looked not like, I wish I had saved the before picture because it looked
Totally different.
nothing like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it might as well have been a brand new sampler. Like I could tell because I remember where like a lot of the problem spots were. But anywho, um it really kind of makes me think about the fact of like, man, having that around your whole life then would have been considerably more rare than now, because the things like climate control
Mm-hmm.
and bugs and better glass, if you were to
Right.
frame it, and
Yeah.
things like that. But the fact here that like she's not just talking about making a sampler in her old age. She's literally like, you know, she says, the above is what I have taken from my sampler that I wrought when I was 9 years old. It was wrought on fine cloth. It tattered to pieces. My age at this time is 66. She's creating another historical record
Yeah.
of something that's lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that kind of blows, because it's not like she just said like, oh my god, look, this is pretty and I'm 66.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she talks about how old she was, so we have a date for when that one was made.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know exactly what it looked like, but and then she even says like that she made it on fine cloth, which I'm sure that could mean a number of things, obviously, but it's better than, I don't know, burlap. Like, it means something more to her at that time,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
they could say what was available for fine cloth when she was
Mm-hmm.
9. And now the fact that she's 66. So when you are always talking, and then obviously it says, Sturbridge, um, when you are talking about how quilts are documents.
Needlework in itself is a document in some way.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like, it's like she's literally written out. And I just realized I hadn't held it up here. She's written out, an actual document.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Well, it's fascinating, and there are stories of these other types of, gosh, there's that one, ugh, I'm gonna totally blank. I shouldn't bring it up if I can't think of the name of it, but
Well, hold on. Don't jump ahead yet, because I actually have something to look at. Hold on.
what I was gonna say though is there are these not necessarily just samplers, but there are pieces of textile that have things written on them that are very clearly written, or stitched by the women as like a formal documentation. Like, it is clear that their goal in stitching it was, this goes beyond me. Whereas something like this, you do kind of wonder, like, is her mindset, the old one's gone, I'm recreating it so that I have this one thing that marks me as having been here.
Yeah, maybe. Hold on
Yeah.
1 second here. So, I'm going to give the preface here that every image in these chapters, I tried to find at these various institutions and things,
Right.
to hopefully pull up onto the screen, maybe get more info, anything. I couldn't get a single one. Like, not a single one. I did find this, and I did find another one that she mentions but doesn't show a photo of. So that's cool. But
Now,
yes, I was like,
Sarah's her mother or her daughter. I can't remember.
I believe it's daughter, because down here we have Sarah Fiske, daughter of Mr. Daniel and Mrs. Aimee Fiske, Sturbridge.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I you can see here, you search for Aimee Fiske, and this is what came up, and I was like, well, that's neat. We will look at this one.
Yeah,
And this
Sarah
one
Fiske is also Aimee Fiske's mother, in addition to being her daughter.
Well, is her mother's name also Aimee Fiske?
No,
I mean, it could be.
No, Aimee Fiske's mother is named Sarah Fiske, and she had a daughter named Sarah Fiske.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but this says the daughter of.
Yes,
Daniel.
I know. I'm just saying. We have they're quadruple Fiskes.
I'm asking because, like, with all the Fiskness, like, you know, this could be a mother or a daughter or a grandma 3 parts removed, whatever.
Yeah, this says. Yeah, so page 14 it says Sarah, the only daughter, was born in 1817 and remained single until her death in 1909 in Southbridge.
There you go, 1817 right here. Yeah, and we've got Sturbridge, June 1826. I thought this was really cool because look at how she did her name right here. That is neat. And then, of course, she has her name also, like, right here. But, of course, she's 9 because they have to be.
Yeah.
Where
is this from? This is a collection of...
This is Sturbridge.
Oh, okay. Old Sturbridge Village. Okay.
Yep. And this is Sturbridge, Mass, obviously. And then down the bottom here, when this you see, remember me. We see that a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, I kind of always thought of that as being like, and I guess it's kind of linked, you know, this idea of, you know, the idea of memento mori goes way back. You know, our ancestors' thoughts about death are very different than ours. But I feel like the you know, historically here in the U.S., this big turning point was the Civil War, because so many people died, so many men died, and they died not close to home. So that's where the whole, you know, kind of modern-ish funerary industry comes from, is embalming people so they could be sent home. Yeah, I mean, in thinking about that, so the war hasn't happened yet. In fact, in these people's memories, I realize this is a girl born in the 1800s, but in these people's sort of collective memory, they're thinking about the Revolutionary War, where we were victorious, and, you know, what is your concept of leaving a mark on the world? You know, and then post-Civil War and this Victorian age of sentimentality, is it different? Is it a different sentiment, or is it really the same sentiment, just kind of wrapped up in sort of different cultural phenomenon, you know?
I will stop sharing for the moment. I have something for later, but I need to pull up my notes.
I thought was interesting. She did spend a lot of time in here, and I mean, not to step away from Aimee Fiske, but she really talked a lot in here about, like, exactly what is old. You know, you see a lot of references to 70, which, by the way, many of you probably know, but is 70 years, because a score is 20 years.
Oh, I did not know that.
3 times 20, 60, plus 10 is 70. So 70 is 70 years old. Why they couldn't just say 70 years old, I don't know why, but they keep referencing that. But then they talk about, like, once a woman has reached menopause, she's old.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, if you really think about it, unless she's got children that were born in her 40s, you know, or very close to the time, you know, before she became unable to have children anymore, she most likely doesn't have to care for anybody, you know, like babies or small children. So it makes sense to say that a woman is old, because, you know, the awful question is, like, what is she good for now?
I mean, yeah, when we're considering how historically women have been viewed as...
Yeah, so she's doesn't necessarily have a household to keep up, because her, you know, again, empty nest, if that's truly what she's dealing with. She can't have children anymore, so she's not good for that. So, I mean, I see it as, like, this dichotomy. It's like, are you, like, have this utter freedom and can be, you know, who and what you want to be because you're old and you've earned the right, or are you, like, useless because you don't have a purpose anymore? Like, I women deal with this today, you know? It's like,
And I find myself thinking, because I forget off the top of my head who we end up talking about, who was a widow twice. There's a hold on.
That is Esther Belcher.
It's Eliza
Macy Howland Barney, yeah. this is
I
first
find
read.
myself thinking a lot when we're talking about like what's old and the usefulness and a woman's fulfillment or whatever. I find myself thinking a lot about my older female friends. And when I say older female friends, I mean 60s, 70s, 80s. No, not you at this point. um and one reason, the difference is the majority of them that would be single at this point, they're single because they're divorced, not necessarily because they're widowed. They're empty nesters, they're active grandmothers, and they are having the time of their life.
Yeah.
They all say they have never been happier. And there is one perspective of that that isn't mentioned in here, and it would be a whole nother lens. I don't know if she ever touches on it because it would be just a whole nother book. And one of the major things is they have aged out of the male gaze.
Ah, well, yeah. I mean, that kind of goes along with your ability. I mean, you get right down to the biology of attraction, and the male gaze is about, are you worthwhile for reproduction? So I feel like that kind of goes together when we're talking about this, this era.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, they're at their point where like they don't have to give a poop about anything but them, and like what they want, how they want to spend their time, how they want to engage their mind. There was another quote in here about a woman who just read everything because she
just knows
time.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, her time is finally hers, and it does not belong to everyone else, like her children and her spouse and her church and her, whatever other community engagements she has tied herself to, depending on what rung in the social class she's on. So.
But on the flip side of that, and I agree with you totally. Yeah. I mean, like, that's the beauty of being older. I mean, I joked probably in my 30s about, I can't wait till I'm old and I could be one of those, get off my lawn, and like just say whatever you want.
I can picture that about you.
Yeah, I've been like that. But yeah, I mean, I always joked about, like, it must be wonderful to be old and just kind of do as you please, and people give you a little bit of a pass because, well, you're an older adult. But also what really surprised me is, so on page 8 in the second column there, she talks about how while older and younger antebellum women quilted, the circumstances under which they did so were different. Younger women quilted in as social events, whereas older women either quilted alone or only with their family.
Yeah, I took a little issue with that too. I'm like, photographic evidence would really prove otherwise, but I'm wondering if maybe in earlier periods she might be correct. But I'm like, obviously in later, I mean, once we start to get photographs, there is photographic evidence of older women.
Oh, as a side note, not to digress us too much, but you know how the pictures that we found at the New York Public Library, and there was that one where it was like 1906, but we're like, the women in the picture, and they've got like a quilt that they're...
Oh, did you get info?
No, but one of our friends found another one.
Oh, really?
And it's the same set of women, but they're looking at tatting. So, yeah, and it's from American Home and Garden, I think. So it seems like it might be, and the reason why it kind of jogged my memory is there is an older woman in these pictures, and it appears to be kind of a staged looking photo because their clothing is the like 19th century when this is a 1906 publication. But in any event, there's an older woman in these pictures with these three other younger women. So anyway, I just thought of that. I was like, oh, we gotta find that issue and find out exactly what's going on in those pictures because I feel like it relates to this. I don't know.
So we were just talking about quilting.
Yeah. So
and needlework alone as opposed to in a group.
Well, and I guess the question I have is, it talks about activity, group work. So the bride to be is quilting with her mother, grandmother's aunts, but then those women are they not also? I mean, I guess it's just kind of like, how can you have this idea of younger women quilting in community, and that community is their mothers, grandmothers, aunts, but then you're also saying that older women don't quilt in community? Well, yeah, they're quilting with the bride to be. Right? I guess I just really kind of was like, I don't understand this assertion here. That's kind of why I brought it up.
Yeah, I guess like I could see scenarios where that's the case, where maybe as you get older and maybe you don't have your household anymore and you leave and you go somewhere else, where maybe you're in a community that isn't doing a lot of quilting, or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, out of all of this that we've read so far, I was kind of like, like about that one
Well,
thing.
I could see it. Now, I guess in one area I could see where it would be maybe pretty accurate is the women that we're talking. Well, I mean, we just talked about Sarah Fiske, Aimee Fiske's daughter, that she never married. So, maybe in her younger days she might have been with girlfriends, brides to be, whereas because she never got married, no children, no household necessarily, then as she got older it may have been solitary pursuits, because she, as a quote unquote spinster, was maybe not invited to some of those group things. So
That could be a thing. I do want to just back up real quick, and then we can move on to chapter 1 if you want. So on page 6, in the second column, at the bottom there, almost all studies of samplers have focused on schoolgirl art. Samplers and needlework pictures made by girls of school age, generally 16 and younger, which were frequently the product of a specialized private academy or lessons from a local teacher. These books often begin by acknowledging the earliest known extant American sampler made by, would this be like Loara?
yeah, I think it's Loara.
Yeah, Loara Standish, in Plymouth, Massachusetts, around 1640. I found it.
And
So,
is she by any chance like related to Miles Standish?
no idea. I didn't look. But I found it funny that of all the photos in here, that she didn't include a picture of this one, just because like the oldest one, that's freaking cool.
Well, because I'm assuming Loara Standish made it when she was young. Right?
No, but I'm just saying, like, the fact that this is like the oldest known one. Here, like,
Holy Moses.
There you go, descended from the Standish and Alden families. So
yeah, but look at that thing. Good grief.
So I will say this is really like as big.
So she is the daughter of Miles Standish.
Um,
Wow. Like that's not something I would have been like, oh, a little schoolgirl sampler. That is something
also
else.
it says right on here, the Standish sampler is a band sampler that followed the prevailing English form and aesthetic.
Sure, yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I was kind of like, hey, I would have liked to see that in here, but I was like, yay, something for us to look at.
Yeah, it's hard to see because the image is small there. And you probably can't zoom in too much with it.
Wait,
but
oh my god, I can't. It didn't work when I did it earlier.
You can. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the fact that this blue is still so blue and stuff, like obviously like this is faded. I wonder if that was like a green. But yeah, this thing is, I mean, there's a lot of wear right there, but for 16 something here.
Yeah, no kidding. 1640, is that what it said?
Yeah. Yep. And then what did it say? Let's see. It was
From
made
the
in
needles
Duxbury.
of babes, as we say.
Yeah, right. Also, like this shoe is pretty cool, just saying. So linen with silk embroidery. So oh, there you go. Yeah, daughter of Captain Miles Standish. She made the sampler in her teens. Oh, so she was an adult. Imagine how old it would be if she made it when she was a fetus. Samplers of the 16th to mid 18th century served as permanent records of stitches and designs. I'm just seeing if there's anything else like really, really cool in here. Oh, they actually transcribed it too. Loara Standish is my name. Lord, guide my heart that I may Do thy will also my hands with such convenient skill as may conduce to virtue void of shame, and I will give the glory to thy name.
Well.
Yeah. And I just burst into flames because I'm full of sin.
So,
But yeah,
as we're I don't want to go too much into the introduction anymore. I'd like to get to chapter 1, but
sure.
May I mention that some of these poor women and their I mean, Esther, poor Esther, is, you know, I mean, it's just not a very complimentary look at her. I mean, this is probably what she actually looked like, but not a complimentary picture of her. And this other one, dear Lord, this poor woman.
Where are you right now?
So, Esther was in the introduction. Page 4, I guess. That's her picture, yeah. Page 4 of the introduction.
Okay.
And then if we hop forward to page 25 of chapter 1, I don't know who painted this poor lady, Alophelia, but I don't.
Oh, yeah.
She's so bizarre looking. I'm like, she should have fired them. Alethea Fiske Holt. Yes, Asahel Powers needed to be fired. Not a great painter of heads. I'm okay with the dress, but the head, not so much. All right, moving right along.
Yeah, so this chapter 1 here gets into, quote, the physical challenges of needlework, and the major prevailing topic here is eyesight.
And second sight. I have heard of second sight before, and I always just assumed they meant like, oh, she's having like the sixth sense. That's kind of what I always thought second sight was.
No, I've
can
heard of it
speak
before.
to ghosts.
Yeah, imagine if she could. But second sight in relation to this quilt.
It is an interesting quilt. It is a strange quilt.
I looked for it online, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and let's see, it's at the Witt Museum in San Antonio, or at least at the time.
I went straight to the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
And couldn't find it, but it's quilt by Mary Fry von Voorhis. Voorhis?
I think it's Voorhis.
Okay, however you say that.
Yeah, Van Voorhis.
Circa 1850 in Pennsylvania. And then it says, according to family history, Mary made this quilt when she received her second sight. As happens with many ancient people then and now, her eyesight changed from farsightedness to nearsightedness, and as a result, she would have been able to see clearly, more closely, enabling her to applicate and quilt more easily. And this quilt is like a one of a kind, because it's not.
Yeah, it's a very interesting looking quilt. I think if I had seen it without context, if I had seen it without context, I would not know when exactly to date it. You know, just other than the fact that it does have some kind of like the leaves are kind of princess feather looking, even though they're not that swirl. The eagles are definitely Federal period looking eagles, but I think I would have looked at this and gone like, I can't even imagine, because this looks like nothing I've ever seen. And I mean, great for her to make something so unique. And I've been nearsighted since I was 9, so I can't wrap my head around being farsighted. Except that now, even with my glasses, I have to do one of these sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what's funny is, I mean, in terms of like the quilting industry, needlework too, just in general, is if there is one area of the market that people have paid attention to, it is aids for making the craft more accessible to people with all different, like we have left-handed scissors now and left-handed tools, and you have, you know, lights.
Yes,
and
I actually have one
all the
right
things
here.
with magnifying, all the things with magnifying glasses. You have all the actual glasses now that magnify. Or you have the ones that are amazing, if you haven't used them yet, that are the prism glasses.
The lazy glasses, yeah.
And look down. I've used those to do some reading. They're really cool. All kinds of, you know, we have specialized gloves and socks now that deal with, you know, like arthritis and what's that issue in your foot when you're sewing?
In your foot when you're sewing? You mean like on a sewing machine or
anything like that's standing, or it's like an issue that you have in your, what the hell is that? I don't remember. I forget. But we have so many things to deal with, so much of that, because so many people were dealing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I go back to the fact that everything she's talking about here, it doesn't matter that this is the 1800s. That is irrelevant. These are women who are my age who are like, can't quilt by candlelight anymore. Brighter lights, magnifiers, all kinds of aids for all kinds of eye issues. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I mean, it's there's not very many people over 40, I think, that retain perfect eyesight. My husband was probably about 40 when he told me, it was between 40 and 45 when he told me he thought there was something wrong with his eyes, and he kept rubbing them because he looked out the window and he saw a deer outside of his office, and the deer was like fuzzy. And I was like, and then when he would look at his computer screen, that was clear. But when he looked at the deer, I was like, I think you need glasses.
You know, grad school is what kind of ruined my eyes a little bit. And it's funny, when I was in grad school, I developed horrible migraines. And they were like, they took it so serious. They were like, oh my God, brain scans and like all kinds of. Did anyone ever check my eyes?
Well, and that's why I wear glasses. I was getting headaches and having trouble in school, and I was getting really bad headaches from squinting. And sitting in the back of the room, like I could not see. And so they checked my eyes and they were like, girl, you've needed glasses for a while. So that's why I got glasses when I was 9, and I've worn glasses ever since. So all of this, you know, I absolutely understand, because even with having worn glasses practically all my life, in the past 10 years, I've noticed this, like, it's this distance right here. It's like the reading distance is weird. Like, it's blurry. You have to get it back away from it. Well, that's weird. I've never had to do that before. That's kind of farsighted-ish. It's just the strangest thing.
And you make small quilts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will absolutely, I'll divulge that sometimes if I'm not sitting in very good light, I'm doing one of these. Mm-hmm. Which is not good.
Well,
it's not good.
Speaking of light, I did like this here on the bottom of page 21, first column. Sewing or reading in low light was often cited as the most common enemy of eye health. Mm-hmm. One 1844 needlework manual strongly recommended pursuing needlework in the clear bright of morning, mm-hmm. stating that doing so was important not only for accuracy and proper choice of color, but also for health reasons.
Yeah, and I mean,
so if we had something as early as 1844 saying that we should be sewing in like morning light, why in the 2000s did we still have people like absolutely convinced that everyone was sewing by candlelight after dinner?
Right. Well, but also, you look at this and it says the women in this category we're talking about probably could very well easily sew by the morning light. But what about women that had to go milk cows and stuff by the early morning light, you know, that had a whole household?
But we do already have proof that those women were also still sewing during the day, even if it was just one day a week, or they were getting together quarterly or something like that. Mm-hmm. Not that no one was ever doing work at night, but like that was not the rule.
Right. Yes, certainly.
Because we did find out that the whole reason that sewing kits and etuis had mirrors
to reflect
was to amplify their light. So there are definitely some things in here where I was like, whoa, yeah.
I can also see younger women reading that, you know, clear bright light of morning, going like, okay, who's gonna be taking care of all these kids and all this livestock in the clear light of morning if I'm sewing? I can also hear that.
I guess maybe you wait till the point where the kids are taking care of the livestock in the morning. Because I was going to say, there's definitely a marked difference between how we parent children now, and before it was just strap a pillow on them and hope for the best. Like,
you're two already. Can't you take care of yourself?
Yeah, why aren't you working on your sampler?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's see.
I did want to remark, because again, we keep talking about, things that are, for the most part, not very different from now. And on page 24, hold on, my thing did something weird here. What are you doing? Stop it. Where women were encouraged to keep themselves busy, their brains and their eyes, to help avoid further and faster deterioration.
Yep.
Kind of that idea of, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep. Aging women to remain productive.
Well, and it's funny, not necessarily in terms of production, but we do know now that things like, if you don't use your muscles, they deteriorate. And then you age faster and you get frail faster and things like that.
And if you don't keep your mind busy, you deteriorate.
Right. Well, I was going to say, and also the fact of, like, when people retire from jobs, especially jobs that required a lot of brain power, and then they kind of just go like, and like nothing's happening anymore because they're not actively always using their brain.
Yep.
And I find that a lot of friends of mine, at least, and I can really only account for female ones because I just don't really have any male friends in that age bracket doing that, but a lot of them mention how the act of quilting, stitching, needlework, the math, the this, the that is really actively keeps them their brain lubricated. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's.
Mary said yes, and who wants to rust?
Oil can.
I feel like my bones already do that.
Yeah. Let's see. Also on 24 was quilting with one's teeth.
Oh yeah. Now I'm not gonna lie, I could totally see someone doing that. That like really, really wants to quilt and can't, like maybe they've lost limbs and things. I could totally see someone becoming dexterous enough to work that out.
Yeah, and what I think, and as they described it, what I think is she was probably pulling the thread through with her teeth. That she probably had the dexterity at least to get the needle in there, but she was having to like pull because she didn't have the strength to grip the needle. I have that problem sometimes. I've been sewing something and I've had to grab, and now I don't even see them. Had to grab a pair of jewelry pliers I have to pull my needle out because I've been having I can't get like the grip, and I'm like,
That's why you always see me use those gripper things.
Yeah, I have those too, but this was particularly, yeah. I actually have a friend who has nothing to do with age or anything. It's in fact it's a man, but when he was embroidering and did not have a thimble, and he was embroidering denim and just thought he'd just pull it through with his teeth.
Oh my god, is it gross? Is this gross?
Only to discover that like he was chipping his teeth. I was like, durr.
I thought you were gonna say like he jabbed his tongue.
No, but I mean it's not good for your teeth to pull on a needle with them. Like it just gives me kind of the cringes because I'm like, oh, my teeth are brittle. And
yeah, Robin also has the rubber thimbles. Robin, aren't they great?
Yeah, those are very good. But sometimes like even with those, like if you don't have like the strength to like yank on, the needle. I'm trying to see where I did not pull out my flags and my highlighting tape. I need to do that.
Well, I do feel it important that on 26 here that we show this is
this beauty.
Hold on. This is the quilt that Steph was. Can you do me a favor, Steph? I'll hold it up here close. Can you read it next to the thing?
Yes, so this is the quilt attributed to Lavinia Prigmore Moore, 1811 to 1861. It's, I'm guessing, 1870 to 1890. I don't understand what these two different date ranges are, but this is courtesy of Mary Kay from Quilts of Tennessee. According to family lore, Lavinia quilted this bed covering with her teeth because the arthritis in her hands was so painful. The family story also suggests that this quilt was made around 1860. Unfortunately, the material evidence in this quilt makes a strong case that she did not make this particular quilt because the green fabric is typical of those colored with a synthetic dye that came into use well after her death. When exposed to light and washing, these dyes took on a brownish cast. So yeah, that's actually something that we've looked at on my stream recently, is the different colors and dyes of the time periods. Yeah, so that synthetic green was later in the century.
Yeah, and this quilt is pretty cool because it's got like stuffed applique berries. And
yeah,
things.
and I kind of looked at that and thinking that, okay, if this lady was supposed to have been quilting with her teeth, and even if it's just pulling the needle through with her teeth, like this is some kind of intricate work. I kind of have a hard time, I mean, I just have a hard time believing that she did this. Quilting circles is challenging at the best of times. I have a hard time believing she did it with her teeth, but like you said, if you're, people with...
Yeah, you'll find a way.
Yeah, people who want to do a thing will find a way.
I will spin the tail for my Duncan Sue that you can see way back here. That you quilted that with your teeth.
Yeah, I quilted it with my teeth and my toes.
I'm like, I got it. It was all spitty and stuff. Like, I do have to say that I did also enjoy, and this is what I think I'm really going to enjoy about this book, is that it's not just quilts. Don't get me wrong. Love me some quilts. If you can't tell back here. But I do like this dip into some other things, like on page 30 here, where we have this muslin.
Oh, this is detail. So beautiful. I mean, you could buy machine made things like this today that are expensive because it is.
Well, and it's
complex.
If you just go up a little bit and you see the pattern, I've never noticed that much of anywhere. I'm sure it's been places I've looked. I just haven't paid attention because I'm usually looking for something else. So in reading a book that forces me to stop and consider other things, or this table, I
love the story about the table because that was a couple, and both of them in their older ages, kids are gone, and he made the table, she made the table covering. I'm like, oh, that was so cute, so sweet.
And you know what makes me really excited is that is at the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. So I do want to say that what's really neat is that the opportunity to potentially see some of these things is high.
Yeah, I would also like to point out that this so the table cover, to me, it's like it's Berlin work, I think. Yes.
Yeah, she said at one point it could be Berlin
so it's
work.
basically Berlin work is basically needlepoint. I mean, everything I've read about and looked at, I'm like, it's needlepoint. I don't know how else to like define it. It's needlepoint. But if you look at all of that brown, that's also needlepoint. So she stitched these, beautiful flowers, and then this lovely, like, the edging and her initials.
She
but then
filled in all the background?
All of that brown, yes. That is not...
Oh, I thought that was the color of the fabric.
No.
But I can see where it's worn away.
Yes, you can see where it's worn away along the edges, and you can see, like, what it was canvas. It was like a, like needlepoint canvas. That's essentially what it is. So, yes, yes. I'm just like, oh, girl. But your husband's making of the table, you might as well take your time on the tablecloth. And then I
love the fact that the family used the table to like the 1930s.
Yes, well, and I mean,
and then they donated it in the 1970s.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that the family cared about this and recognized, that.
Yeah, this table doesn't look used into the 1930s.
Yeah, well, clearly they took care of it. It was put somewhere where it was not damaged or no ruffians, no children Nobody was setting a can of Coke down on it. But yeah, I just looking at that and knowing that, you know, he made the table, she made the covering. It's just, I don't know. It's just, it's charming. It's really touching. You know, I like that. And,
Marianne had asked, and I'm assuming the question was to you, what was he using Kevlar thread about your friend sewing?
No, just embroidery floss and probably not stitching well. I mean, stitching through denim, it can be difficult if your needle is too big and your floss jammed in there, like 6 strands of floss on a needle that doesn't like want to fit through correctly. Not needle too big, but like a mismatch for the needle and the floss. It can be really hard to pull through denim, but if you have a thimble, you should be able to do it. So, yeah. He's a good friend, but he's clearly not very smart when he was a teenager. So one thing, just to back up a little bit, talking about Margaret Bayard Smith. Now, the person who made her portrait was, I think, very talented, because this is, you know, this probably looks like her and is I don't know. I just think it's a good looking painting. I thought her story was kind of interesting, that she was sent to a Moravian school, and I didn't realize that the Moravians were also, you know, kind of had this, what's the word I'm looking for? That they made things in the same way that, say, the Shakers did. Like they had like this tradition of fine,
like some industry,
fine needlework and industry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really interesting. And I don't know if you have anything like in between here and the end, but the ending notes about the old lady, Patty Sessions. And I guess it looks like we're going to get to look at her sampler in a future chapter, but she knitted every day until she died at 94, and they would unravel it at night.
Yeah, it's like that movie 50 First Dates where they like reset.
Well, yeah, and that's the question. Like, I'm kind of like, did she realize that? Like, did she realize they were? I mean, it seems like maybe so. She may have been a little, you know, little senile, and she doesn't realize, and she's like, oh, gotta get on that scarf. It's not getting any longer.
Well, yeah, and the fact that they were just like, you know, they unraveled it every night because it brought her joy all day.
Yeah, just to keep knitting. And I will say, like, I have done this before. I have knitted in my past. I've made socks. I've
only done crochet.
I've made some small sweaters. I've never made a full-size sweater that actually fit and worked out.
I was going to say, what do you mean you made small sweaters?
I made a baby sweater for my nephew when he was born, and I made a sweater for my cat when he was a kitten.
Priorities.
Exactly. But, you know, a small sweater is easy and cute to knit. But there is something that is so meditative about knitting. I in times in my life have sat there and knitted a swatch and unraveled it, and the next day started knitting it again, just because it's not making a thing. It's just the activity of your hands. It's very meditative, and it's so, you know, I mean, I look at some of this and I think there's a lot here to think about. So not just the idea of, I still want to make my mark on the world. I have agency now that I don't, you know, have to take care of children. I have you know, I can do what I want. But there's also this sense of aging. You still, and even maybe even more so, when you have less responsibility and maybe don't feel needed anymore, you need a sense of accomplishment and something kind of to soothe you. And so I think needlework also fills that purpose. You know, and this, that really hit home for me, I think, at the end of the chapter when I read about the elderly woman that was knitting and having her knitting unravel to start over the next day.
You're like, oh no, that's my future.
Well, but I mean, you know, there's this, she mentions, she's like, there is this idea of like, is this cruelty? Like, no, it's to keep it from, you know, this is not the story of Sisyphus rolling the rock up the hill. This is a story of, you know, they're keeping her from being frustrated by mistakes, but they're giving her, you know, something new to work on every day that she enjoys doing. And it is that sense of like busyness. I mean, I think if you're in your 90s, like my grandmother was 94 93 when she passed away, and unfortunately it was caused by an accident. She did not die of old age. And she was in very good, her mental faculties were very good even in her 90s. But I do also know a lot of people in their 90s that have declined, and they just need to be kept, just not worked up. And so people that have a tradition of needlework of some type, I think can benefit greatly from having a little project to work on. I really do feel that's why so many very elderly women will still contribute in some way, when a quilt is being made, or when a baby's born, they will contribute something, because they still want to be doing those things. It brings them comfort, brings them a sense of...
Isn't this your Dr. Dutton in occupational therapy?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's.
I cannot believe it took you an hour and a half to not even bring up his name.
I did, and you brought him up.
Right, because I keep going like, Steph, when are you going to bring him up? Like, he's so relevant here. I mean, you know what? Let's look in the bibliography. Like, I feel like his name has to be in there, because, like, we're talking...
I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt it.
But we're talking about so much occupational therapy.
Unless she's going to get into that, I kind of doubt Dutton's in here. No, I do not see him in the secondaries.
I don't see him in the primaries either. I'm actually a little shocked, to be honest with you.
Well, but Dutton he did not, I mean, other than talking about, keeping his nervous ladies occupied, he didn't really talk a whole lot about occupational therapy in his book. So...
Whatever. I think it's totally relevant. And you know what I just realized as we're like, let's wrap it up here, because I can't feel my fingers. I did not start the stream with the assignment for next week. So I will tell it now, because I'll put it in the description, is we're doing chapters 2 and 3, which is pages 37 to 84. Don't get scared. It's a lot of pictures. And our next, that'll be due on the 18th. Oh my goodness, the 18th. It's our 2-year anniversary this month.
I know. 2 years.
Like, wow. Oh my God.
It's 2 years is quite some time out of an elderly woman's life.
You're like, I'm so elderly, I'm turning into a crustacean. Yeah. It's
well, thus far, you guys, I hope you are enjoying this book thus far. I am.
I am.
Yeah, and if anybody's listening and you haven't, you've been on the fence and you haven't gotten the book yet, or, you weren't really planning on reading along, I think you should. It's a good book.
Yeah, there's still time. And it looks like, let me just gauge here. Let's see, 2, 3. It looks like this book is likely to give us 4 streams. So yeah, and I will say that when I was looking up Sturbridge Village to try to get, a couple of these samplers she had shown, I did see their like Christmas in Sturbridge thing that's like for a lot of December or whatever. And I do remember a friend of mine going to it last year and was like, oh my God, it's so cool. You should really go. Maybe I will this year. Because I was talking with Sunday the other night and I was like, what do you want to do this year? Like, that's festive. And I'm like, maybe we should like aim to try to like do more festive-y things now that I don't work retail and I can.
Yeah. You don't have that. Well, in my case, I remember it took me a while to like the trauma of retail to enjoy the holiday season again. So
that is true.
Sure, it's the same way for you.
Yeah, the last time I really remember like enjoying Christmas was when I worked in a photo lab. So, and I can remember sitting there and I'm like planning out like my Christmas shopping list and who, and then I went to big box retail and all of my spirit
It was all
left.
ruined. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Well,
but also I just
I'm hoping to go to Yuletide at the Windsor this year because it's only an hour and a half from me.
so it looks like it's similar-ish maybe to
I
that.
think so. Yeah.
So, okay. So, yeah, maybe we'll have to like
So
get
that's a
some.
suggestion to you guys. If you have some type of historical thing near you, check and see. If they do.
Yeah, doesn't Williamsburg do a big thing?
Oh yeah, Williamsburg's thing is huge. But yeah, I would assume like a lot of these historical properties. I mean, the Windsor, Sturbridge, they're like not just a building like a museum, they are a full property. So I think any place that does like reenactment type stuff and any kind of historical things outside of the Shelburne is probably the only one that doesn't do anything because they closed down for the season.
Yeah, or maybe they just open for like a couple days to do something and only on
Maybe.
like a portion of their property.
It's
But yeah,
entirely
it gets so
possible,
cold.
but I don't remember seeing anything specific that they do when they're closed. They're closed. But yeah, check it out. Like that might be a fun thing to do this year is to go to some kind of holiday thing.
Well, and obviously if we can, we'll try to
Yeah.
get interesting content if we can. I
for
haven't
sure.
been to Sturbridge Village in 100 years, so I don't know what their rules are about any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm freezing.
All right, well, go warm up, and I'm gonna go have dinner because I had a very late lunch. So
I might have seconds of dinner because I was literally like, oh my God. Going up the stairs like, I may have eaten that a little too fast.
I know that feeling.
But it has been lovely to chat.
Yes.
I'm really happy that we're reading a book again.
I know it feels good to be reading again. So, guys, well, we will see you next Tuesday or on Thursday if you follow my stream. Bye.